How do we actually become smart? This is a question you might have asked yourself in school whenever you did not get an expected grade, or your class laughed at you because you didn't give the correct answer. Well, if you have come to the right place, because today I'll prove to you that becoming smart is actually very easy. Look, if I were like other content creators who make videos about the same topic, I would give you the same vague advice, like eating blueberries because it's good for the brain, drinking black coffee, exercising more, getting good sleep, etc. As good and simple as these might look, at some point, you have to, actually learn something. Would you believe me if I said that staring at a dot is more helpful than doing all of these tips together? You might say, how's a dot even relevant? Well, watch the video till the end and find out. So what can we do to become smarter? I'll tell you what not to do. Follow the same old tips and tricks copied from Facebook and pasted from a Wikipedia article. If you ask me, I've set out some basic principles that I regularly implement in my daily life, and they have helped me a lot in becoming more creative. After weeks of research and personal experience, in this video, I'll share the 3 tips that have helped me personally. Make sure to check the last one, because I saved the best for last. It's simple, yet super effective. I'm sure it all will help a lot. Number 1. Reading. You may wonder what kind of reading. Well, it depends on you. In my experience, fiction-based books have been a good source for me in increasing my reading speed. And they always help me get a better vocabulary. But there was a problem, and I know for a fact that many of you watching can relate to me on this. I needed more focus. I used to throw away my book and go watch my favorite season on Netflix. However, once I set a goal of reading a book, I started doing an exercise. For 30 seconds, I would stare at a dot on my wall, with no other distractions and full focus. How does this help, you may ask? Well, you already know that our brain plays a vital role in processing visual information. So when you intentionally focus on a single point for an extended period of time, a bunch of mechanisms in your brain start to activate. Why don't you try it out for yourself? I need you to sit down in a comfortable position, with no distractions around you. Put the video on full screen, and for the next 15 seconds, just focus on the dot. You'll hear me talking again after 15 seconds. Good job. The benefit you should feel is a feeling of stillness, a deep calming feeling. This exercise may feel unimportant or silly at first, but I want you to practice it every day, and ideally at the same time. This will teach you how to free up brain real estate, and you'll be able to start the next task with a fresh mind. Personally, this helped me focus on my reading. I actually started retaining a surprising amount of information. Most people, including me, often go for nonfiction, which indeed is the key to being able to casually drop interesting knowledge in conversations. Like if you just read a cool book on history, you can come into a conversation as someone who knows about history. The key is to not be obnoxious about it. Let's say that you talk to someone new, and they say, "Isn't it crazy how we evolved from chimpanzees, right?" Say you reply like this, "Well, actually, as evolution is non-linear and several more species similar to humans inhabited Earth simultaneously, none of which can be certainly considered as chimpanzees." Well, this can be said in an Instagram comment section in real life, saying, "Well, actually," before proving someone wrong will make them instantly dislike you. Let's redo this conversation. Them. "Isn't it crazy how we evolved from chimpanzees, right? It's really crazy, right?" You. The other day I read an article on the internet, and apparently it said that humans and chimpanzees evolved side by side. I always thought we evolved from them, but I guess our life was a lie. This would make us look smart and humble, and people will actually learn from the conversation, which would make them see you as a smart and respectable person. Now, how can we find these books? It's pretty simple. First of all, you need to realize that we don't have to read the same 5 books that everyone tells us to read. Just think of a topic you want to learn about, like tech. Now search on Google about the books you want to read. Usually books cost money, and you and I both know that spending money on a book isn't something we would do without hesitation. So, if by chance our fingers slip, you might end up on this website. Search about the book title, and then download a file, which you can open using an ebook viewer. Number 2, learn new skills. Now that we have a book, we can learn various skills and also find a lot of interesting bits of information that we could use in a conversation. Personally, I've been using this website for almost 2 years. It has helped me develop a better vocabulary and improve my speaking skills. However, it is super important to keep in mind that to learn a skill, you need to practice it a lot. No shortcuts to this, I'm afraid. 80% of learning a skill is practice and the remaining 20% is knowledge. We can make a lot of progress in learning a skill in the beginning just by practicing. For example, let's say that you've just seen a new football trick that you want to pull off in a game. The first day you try to do it, you'll fail. However, if you practice the skill every day, you'll eventually get good enough at it and never forget it. This is how we become smart. We have to utilize everything that we learn by imagining ourselves in the moment. It'll be useful. Fun fact, this is how the entire school system works. We're taught information, and because it might be numerous years before we can actually use that information, the teacher would ask us to create an imaginary scenario where that information could be used. Usually that's enough to make our brains at least attempt to remember the information that's given to us. But the problem with our brains is that once we solve a question using a part of the information that we consume, it would tell us that the information is of no use anymore and we should forget it. Many people, including you and I, would have thought that repetition, studying in intervals, or mind mapping would help us get better grades and learn faster. However, in reality, doing practice questions will give you the best results because they stimulate the actual situation in which we have to use what we've learned. But let's just imagine that's something that you can't practice right now. Like imagine you're reading a book about cars and then you see this diagram of how to jumpstart a dead car with a good car. Ideally, you'll read about it and then go practice it. But not everyone has 2 cars lying around to practice on. But we still practice it by just imagining. Imagine yourself in a situation where you need to jumpstart a car. Find a video and pretend that's your car. By imagining the whole process from start to finish, we just convinced our brains that we used all of that information, and now we'll remember it. However, the person who just looked at that diagram and tried to memorize it will have no idea what to do if they ever find themselves in a similar situation. Number 3. Test yourself. Look, testing yourself is something that has helped me improve in every way. If you don't have any questions to practice on, just make your own. And convince yourself that you set the bar high. Imagine being in a dangerous situation, like hanging from the edge of a cliff. But there is someone to pull you up, but only if you can name all the muscles in the human eye. This will make the information seem useful to your brain and will make your brain absorb it quicker, resulting in making you smarter. In my experience, textbooks have helped me a lot in learning knowledge quicker, as there's no hand-holding and no distractions but only a bunch of practice questions. However, for beginners, textbooks might not seem very appealing compared to watching a YouTube video. However, if you're ready to challenge yourself, there are many websites on the internet for which you can download free textbooks on any topic you want. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. You can be proud of yourself. I'm out. Peace.